Hi everyone, my name is Rochelle and I am an intuitive coach for highly sensitive women. And welcome to my very first video blog. I have been doing everything in my power to avoid filming this blog for months now because I was afraid, and I finally was like, okay, I need to walk my talk and face my fears, and so here I am. What I want to talk to you guys about today is being sensitive and not liking it. I'm willing to bet that a lot of you out there are sensitive and you hate it. You may even see it as a curse. You probably try to make yourself not so sensitive. And I completely and totally relate. When I was growing up, all I heard was, why are you so sensitive? Why are you so emotional? Why do you cry so much? Why do you take things so personally? Why can't you take a joke? Right? Like constant criticism about my sensitivity. And that can be really damaging, especially to a child, because the message that you're being given is that you are unacceptable as you are, that you need to toughen up, that there's something wrong with you. And as children, we really internalize those things, and it can lead to us growing up feeling like we are flawed or like we are weak, or that there's something wrong with us and we're just not trying hard enough, and that other people don't understand us. And so, it must be our fault, right? And then to add to that, it's also, let's face it, it's really hard to be sensitive. It's really hard. We live in a harsh world where harsh things happen. And I hate to say that we live in an insensitive world, but in some ways we really do. And I feel like right now in the society that we're in, there's more insensitivity than there is sensitivity. And so it's hard to be out there. It's hard to be around those harsh energies. When you're a sensitive person, you feel everything so deeply, right? It's like the volume on life is turned up extra loud, and it can just feel like too much. Like everything just feels like too much. It's extremely overwhelming, especially if you haven't been taught how to properly manage your feelings. And not just manage your feelings, but manage your feelings as a sensitive person, because there's a difference there. So, all that being said, I understand why you would be like, I hate being sensitive. And I did too. I completely did. But I have three things that I want to tell you. The first one is, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're always going to be sensitive. You can't make it go away. You can't change it. You can't tough your way out of it. So it's actually a genetic trait. And I'm going to do a whole separate vlog on that topic about the research and the science behind it. But for right now, I just want you to know that 20% of the population, men and women, have a genetic trait which makes them a highly sensitive person, or an HSP. So it's not your fault. You can't control it, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's in your freaking DNA. It's who you are. Now, if you try to change it, or when you try to fight it, it's really only going to get worse. Well, one of two things is going to happen. It's either your sensitivity will heighten if you try and tough it out and pretend like it's not there and push it away. Basically, what you're doing is disrespecting that part of yourself, and it's going to rebel. It's going to get louder because it's asking for attention. It's asking for respect. So either that's going to happen, or you're going to get yourself to the place where you're numbing out absolutely everything. And you're at a point where you can't even really feel anything anymore because you put up such a wall to block out those overwhelming feelings that you don't know how to deal with. So none of those are good outcomes. The next thing, number two, is that I know we focus on all of the negative things, right? Like, oh, it's overwhelming and people don't understand it and it's so hard to deal with. But there is actually so much that's positive about being a sensitive person. It is a huge gift. It really, truly is. Sensitive people are super creative. We're intuitive. We're empathetic. We can read other people's freaking emotions. That's insane. That's so amazing, right? We make great visionaries and leaders too, really good leaders. And because we have such a deep level of compassion and such a high awareness of the world around us, sensitive people tend to be driven to give back and make change in the world. And like, we need more people like that right now. That's a good thing. That's a beautiful, wonderful thing. So start looking for the positive sides of your sensitivity. Start to see how it makes you a better friend, a better listener, a better artist, whatever it is. And then number 3 is that your sensitivity is actually your superpower. Now, when I was in coaching school, a dear friend of mine said to me, she said just that, your sensitivity is your superpower, but you have to take care of it, otherwise it will destroy you. She said I was like one of the X-Men, which I love, and I always tell this story because I think that it's such a good metaphor. The thing is, and trust me on this, because I used to think this was bullshit too, but trust me, once you start to accept, because it's not going to go anywhere, you can't do anything about it, so you might as well accept it. Once you start to accept that you are a sensitive being and that that's who you are, and then you start looking for the positives in it, and then start setting up your life in a way that honors it and respects it. And what I mean by that is that, yeah, you're different. I mean, you're only 20% of the population, right? It's a different thing. We experience the world differently because our sensory neurons are on like overdrive. So because you're experiencing the world differently, you're not going to be able to live in the world the way that everybody else does. You're probably going to need more downtime. You're probably going to need a higher level of self-care. There's all sorts of different ways to take care of your sensitivity. But once you start to honor it and respect it and care for it and set up your life in a way that is nurturing to your sensitive nature, it will start to work for you and not against you. I promise you. I promise you a million times over. I didn't believe it either, but it's so, so true. That part of yourself is screaming out to you to be accepted and honored and celebrated. And we need to start celebrating our sensitivity, because just because we're not like the rest of the world doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us. It's special. It's a gift. It truly, truly is your superpower. So I have a lot more to say on this topic, but I think I've talked long enough for tonight. If you like what you heard here, I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to my newsletter, follow me on Facebook, and I also have an amazing Facebook group called the Super Sensitives, which is just a really positive, supportive, uplifting place for sensitive people to celebrate their unique gift. I will post all of the links for those things below. Check it out if you feel called. And I really, really appreciate whoever's watching being a witness to my very first video blog and me facing my fears. I love you all, and I will talk to you again soon.